7 weeks after he started the job, George Entwistle walked back out of the BBC, script in hand, to resign.
In light of the fact that the Director General is also the Editor-in-Chief and ultimately responsible for all content, and in light of the unacceptable journalistic standards of the Newsnight film broadcast on Friday 2nd November, I have decided that the honourable thing to do is to step down from the post of Director General. When appointed to the role, with 23 years' experience as a producer and leader at the BBC, I was confident the trustees had chosen the best candidate for the post and the right person to tackle the challenges and opportunities ahead. However, the wholly exceptional events of the past few weeks have led me to conclude that the BBC should appoint a new leader. To have been the Director General of the BBC, even for a short period, and in the most challenging of circumstances, has been a great honour. While there is understandable public concern over a number of issues well covered in the media, which I'm confident will be addressed by the review process, we must not lose sight of the fact that the BBC is full of people of the greatest talent and the highest integrity. That's what will continue to make it the finest broadcaster in the world.
Beside him, the chairman of the BBC Trust, the man who had appointed him, it seems ironic now, as a safe pair of hands.
George Entwistle has worked for the BBC for 23 years. He exemplifies the finest values of public service broadcasting. At the heart of the BBC is its role as a trusted global news organisation, and as the editor-in-chief of that news organisation, George has very honourably offered us his resignation because of the unacceptable mistakes and the unacceptable shoddy journalism which has caused so much controversy. I would just like to say again that I think George Entwistle has behaved extremely honourably in the best standards of journalism of integrity. Thank you.
A short round of applause from a small band of BBC staff, and what must be one of the shortest tenures as Director General was over.
A new crisis for Newsnight. Tonight, this programme apologises. A key allegation in a report about child abuse was wrong.
This was what made his position untenable. There are questions about Entwistle's handling of the Jimmy Savile affair, but it was on his watch as Editor-in-Chief of the BBC that Newsnight broadcast allegations accusing a senior Tory figure of being a paedophile. Under questioning from his own journalists over the last 24 hours, he was forced to admit he was completely out of the loop.
I found out about the film the following day.
The following day? You didn't see it that night when it was broadcast?
No, I was out.
And you didn't ask any questions during the course of the week, because questions began to be raised very early on in the week, as you know.
No, John, I didn't.
Do you not think that you should have?
The number of things that there are going on in the BBC mean that when something is referred to me and brought to my attention, I engage with it.
So you have no natural curiosity. You wait for somebody to come along to you and say, excuse me, Director General, but this is happening and you may be interested. You don't look for yourself. You don't do what everybody else in the country does, read newspapers, listen to everything that's going on and say, what's happening here?
The second this was brought to my attention last night, I immediately started...
Brought to your attention? Do you not read papers? Do you not look? Do you not listen to the output?
I saw this break on the web.
He didn't appear in control when he first appeared in front of the MPs. He'd only been in the job 10 days when the whole Jimmy Savile thing broke in the first place, so one has lots of sympathy for him here. But the critical thing that's done for him, I think, is the sense that he's just not got a grip.
Entwistle was head of programming at the BBC last year when Newsnight's report into Jimmy Savile was shelved. He was told at a lunch that the presenter was being investigated, but says he asked no further questions and went ahead with Christmas tribute shows as planned. It's an approach that's earned him the nickname Incurious George.
You're told that one of the flagship investigative programmes on the BBC is looking into one of the most iconic figures who you are about to commission huge tributes to, and you don't want to know what it is?
It wasn't that I didn't want to know. What was in my mind was this determination not to show an undue interest.
This was Mr. Entwistle on his first day on the job, with the chairman in happier times. How much has changed in the last 2 months, and how many questions remain unanswered? Not least, how does the BBC begin to repair trust in the institution? Katie Stallard, Sky News.